Okay. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so we'll start with the first question. And I would always start with this because I equals P times R times T. And in the first question, it says a bank is offering 2.5% simple interest on the savings account if you deposit 5,000. How much interest will you earn in 1 year? So this, how much will the bank give me is what I need to find. So all these three parts, the principal, the interest rate, and time will be given to me. So the principal is 5,000. The rate here is 0.025, and the time that we're going to leave it in the bank is 1 year. So if you come back after 1 year, okay, you're gonna have 5,000. Let me multiply times 0.025 times 1. That's gonna make the bank is going to give me 125 bucks. So remember, that's the interest that you earn. So it means that if you were to take all your money back, you're gonna take your 5,000 that you initially deposit plus you're going to earn $125 of interest, so you would actually be taking that 5,125. So that would have been your total. Okay. So, but this question is only asking you how much will the bank give you? How much the bank will give you for depositing $5,000, and you will earn 125. Okay. So it's only asking you for the interest. Number two. So I guess I'll just do it on the top here because I don't have any more room. It says to buy a car, Jessica borrowed $15,000 for 3 years. The simple interest was 9%. How much interest will she pay? And then what is the total amount that she's going to pay? So you're asking for everything. So let's find how much interest she's going to be owing the bank. So instead of deposit, it is a loan. So this is almost the same thing. So it's $15,000. The rate's 0.099%, which is a lot. And then you want to pay the whole thing in 3 years. So here we go. The time is 3 years. So let's multiply that. So if you borrow $15,000 from the bank at an interest rate of 0.009 times, and then you pay it in 3 years, it means that you're going to have to pay the bank an extra $4,050. So you borrowed $15,000, right? So you owe the bank already $15,000 plus you're gonna have to pay $4,050 as interest, right? I mean, nobody is gonna give you that amount of money for free. So when you pay everything back, you actually end up paying the bank $19,050. So you definitely a little bit more than what you initially borrowed, which was $15,000. Okay. Number three, Nancy invested $6,000 in a bond at a yearly rate of 3%. She earned $450. How long was the money invested? So we're looking for the time here, right? So time is what we need. Oh. So again, you have here your 4 variables, each representing something different. And the T is what we need to find. So she invested $6,000, so that's my principal. The rate's 3% or 0.03. And the time is T. I'm going to leave it as T. And how much did she earn by investing $6,000? She earned $450. So that $450 is the amount she earned. So how long did she leave that $6,000 in there invested in order to earn $450? That's basically what the question is saying. So $450, we're going to multiply 6,000 times 0.03. And that's going to give us 180 T. One-step equation, divide both sides by 180. And if you divide 450 divided by 180, you get 2.5. So how long did she leave this money invested? She left it for 2.5 years. 2.5 years, which is 2.5 years. Number 4. Again, I equals P times R times T. Mr. Johnson borrowed $8,000 for 4 years to make home improvements. If he repaid a total of $10,320, at what interest did he borrow the money? Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky. Okay, so he borrowed $8,000, so that's my initial principal. I'm going to substitute what I can. The interest rate, we don't know, so we're going to leave it R as R. Time, do we know the time? Yes, it was 4 years. Now, After 4 years, it says here that he paid this much, right? So his initial, how much did he initial borrow? $8,000, right? So, and he ended up paying 10,320. So he borrowed 8,000 from the bank, but at the end of the 4 years, he ended up paying this much. So what's the difference between 8,000 and 10,320? The difference is 2,320. So how much interest did the, how much, I guess, interest, or how much of a fee did the bank charge him for giving him $8,000? The bank said, hey, listen, give you the $8,000. At the end of the 4 years, I want you to give me back 10,320, right? The bank does have to make some money, right? So Mr. Johnson paid the bank 8,000 plus 2,320. So in this case, who's making the money is the bank. So how much money did the bank make? The bank made an interest 2,320. So now I have four variables. 3 of them I know the value. I can now solve this. So 2,320, and this side I can multiply 8,000 times 4, which is 32,000, over R. I can divide both sides by 32,000, and I get 2,320 divided by 32,000, and that's going to give us 0.0725. So if we change that to percent, the bank charged him a 7.25% interest rate. That's how much the bank charged him, okay, percentage-wise. Numero 5. Do I have some room? How do I make this? I'm gonna get this to us. Okay, maybe I'll expand this. Yeah, and I can write it on the right side. Number 5. I'm gonna say I equals P times R times T. And let's see what's going on. John's parent deposited $1,000 in a savings as a college fund when he was born. How much will John have in his account after 18 years at the yearly rate of 3.25? And this is what I was talking to you guys about. So imagine if your parents had put $1,000, which is the interest, times 0.0325 times the time, which is 18 years. So imagine your parents put $1,000 in a bank account and sat there and said, hey, when you're 18, we have a surprise for you. So how much would you have earned, or John's parents, or John in this case? So let's multiply 1,000 times 0.0325 times 18 years, and that's 585. So you would have earned 585, which means that's how much interest you earn. But if you went to the bank and you closed the account and you said, I want to take all my money back, well, you would have taken the 1,000 that your parents initially put in when you were 1 year old, right, or when you were born, sorry, plus 585. You would have had a nice surprise of 1,585. 7. TJ invested $4,000 in the bond at a yearly rate of 2%. He earned $200 in interest. How long was the money invested? So this is one, again, where you need to find the time. PRT. So the principal was $4,000. Yearly rate of 0.02. And then we're going to write T there in the corner. Time, I don't know. And how much money did you make? Well, if you put $4,000 for 2 years, it says here that you would have made, not actually, you put $4,000 at 2% interest, you would have earned $200, but we don't know how long you left the money in there, so that's what we need to find. So 200 equals 4,000 times 0.02, 0.02 times 4,000 equals 80, 80t to be more precise. Divide both sides by 80. And T equals 200 divided by 80, I have no idea, equals 2.5. And again, that means that you left that money in that bank for 2.5 years. Okay. Number 8, Mr. Mogi borrowed $9,000 for 10 years to make home improvements. If he repaid a total of $20,000, what interest rate did he borrow the money? So again, it's kind of backwards, right? So the person who's making the money is the bank in this case. So let's I equals PRT. So what do we know? Let's fill in what we know. The principal, the initial, he took $9,000. What was the interest rate? No, we don't know, so we leave the R there, right? So we're going to leave the R by itself. And the T was 10 years. Now, don't put 20,000 here, okay? The bank gave Mr. Mogi $9,000, and when Mr. Mogi paid everything back, he paid the bank $20,000. So the difference here, so Mr. Mogi paid $9,000, and how much did the bank make, right? Because the bank gave him $9,000, and if they pay, Mr. Mogi pays the bank $9,000, the bank makes no money. So Mr. Mogi took $9,000, but when he paid the bank back, he paid them $20,000. So Mr. Mogi had to pay a little extra. He paid a little extra, and how much extra? He paid the bank an extra $11,000. That's a lot. So the interest that the bank make was $11,000. So that's probably a high interest rate here. So let's see what happens. 9,000 times 10 is 90,000. R, and 11,000 over here. Divide both sides by 90,000. Divide this by 90,000. So we have 11,000 divided by 90,000 equals 0.12, 0.12222. So this would feel, so here's the answer in the what do you call calculator, right? I'm just going to go over 222. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to move this 2 over, right? 1, 2. And I'm going to ask you to go 2 decimal places. So the decimal is now here, 12 point, and we're going to add 2 more. So that, percentage-wise, it's going to be 12.22%. So the interest rate in which you borrowed that money was 12.22%. It's pretty a lot. So again, I think one of you guys asked me, Henry, how credit affects the percentage rate here, the rate in which you borrow money. Well, because this person probably didn't have a good credit. That's why, look, the rate the bank charged him, 12.22, that's a lot. Okay, so the worse your credit, the more you pay a higher interest here. Number 9, Bertha deposited $1,000 in a retirement account when she was 18. How much will Bertha have in this account after 50 years at a yearly simple rate of 7.5? Oof. Wow, so if you're lucky to find somebody that offers you 7.5 interest rate, put the money there, okay, and leave it there for a long time. So let's see what happens here. So interest, we're trying to find out how much Bertha earned. So the principal was $1,000. The rate was 7.5 or 0.075. And the time, 50 years. Oh my God, I'm very curious here. So 1,000 times 0.075 times 50, 3,750. Triple her money. So just in interest, Bertha would have earned 3,750. So when Bertha comes to the bank 50 years later, she's going to take her $1,000 that she deposited, right, 50 years ago, plus an extra 3,750. So she would take home 4,750, but it's not. She didn't make 4,750. This is the amount that she earned for leaving the $1,000 in the bank for 50 years. Okay. Now, can you imagine if it was $10,000? So if that had an extra zero, there would have been an extra zero here. She would have made $37,000, right? So can you imagine if she put $100,000? Then she would have earned $375,000. And again, that's a lot. Last one. I equals PRT. So Joshua borrowed $1,000 from his friend and paid him back $1,050 in 6 months. What simple annual interest did Joshua pay his friend? Well, that was nice of Joshua. So Joshua borrowed $1,000. We don't know the interest rate. And the time was what? 6 months or half, right? Or 0.5, because 6 months is a half a year. And how much did he pay his friend in interest? Well, he didn't pay his friend $1,050 in interest. Remember, he borrowed $1,000 and he paid back $1,050. So he gave his friend an extra $50 here, right? So let's find out what the rate was. 1,000 times a half is 500. 500R, divide both sides by 500 now. And R equals, and what's 50 times, 50 divided by 500, you get 0.1. 0.1, if you change that to percent, that is 10%. So that was nice. So he borrowed $1,000 from his friend, and then that's not 1,000. That's not 10%, is it? No, something wrong here. Hang on a second. 50 divided by 500, 0.1. Yeah, it's 10%. Unless I did something wrong. 1,000. Hang on a second. Principal was 1,000. The rate I don't know. The time was 6 months or a half. 0.5. Sorry. Was 500. That's right. And then the interest was 50. Yeah, 10% was the rate. No, I'm sorry. Okay, and that's it. Pretty simple, right? If you know how to substitute correctly, this is a very, very simple problem. Simple problems, okay? You have 3 variables, and it's just a matter of knowing how to sometimes, know how to substitute correctly, especially in questions like number 10, and there was another one, number 8, okay? Because I'm afraid a lot of you might put 20,000 here as the interest, right? But it's not. It's 11,000. So things like that. If you're careful with that, this is actually a very simple topic. Okay, that's it.